Welcome back to BL Echoes, dear listeners. In our last episode, Ethan and Evan took a beautiful step toward each other. Ethan dressed his love in red silk and held his hand as they walked into the night together. Their hearts were full of hope. But life doesn't always let happiness stay for long. Today, a single phone call will change everything. Romance will turn into fear. And love will be tested in ways no one expected. Let's find out what happens together. The night was dark and beautiful. Ethan drove the car through quiet, winding roads. Soft romantic music played inside, making even the silence feel sweet. Streetlights passed by the window like tiny falling stars. Evan sat in the passenger seat, looking outside at the soft glow of lights. His eyes were a little tired, but excitement was hiding in them too. He turned to look at Ethan. "Where are you taking me? When will we get there?" Ethan glanced at him and smiled gently. "Be patient, love. We're almost there." His voice was warm, the kind of warmth that always made Evan feel safe. Evan just nodded. Ethan could see how tired he was. So he drove a little faster, but not so fast that it would scare Evan. Around 8 o'clock, the car stopped in a very quiet place. There were no buildings around. No people. Just darkness and cold air. The sky above was filled with shining stars. Ethan reached into the back seat and pulled out a big box. He handed it to Evan. "Put this on. It's cold outside." Evan opened the box slowly. Inside was a beautiful red oversized coat. Exactly the kind he loved. Without asking any questions, he put it on. Then he looked outside at all the darkness surrounding them. "Are we really going to this scary place?" Ethan laughed softly. "Yes, we are. But don't worry, sweetheart. I'm right here with you." While saying this, Ethan put on his own black coat. Evan gave him a small, cute glare. That adorable annoyed look that Ethan secretly loved more than anything. But he said nothing. Both of them stepped out of the car. In front of them was a narrow path going up a small mountain. Light fog danced in the air. The cold wind touched their faces softly. Evan put his hands inside his coat pockets to stay warm. Ethan smiled. "Let's go." Before Evan could understand what was happening, Ethan bent down and lifted him up into his arms. Evan's breath stopped for a second. "Put me down. I can walk by myself." Ethan just smiled. "I know you can walk. But tonight, I want to carry you myself." Then he started walking up the mountain path, holding Evan close to his chest. The cold wind blew around them, but Evan felt warm in Ethan's arms. They climbed slowly. The only sounds were their footsteps, some crickets singing far away, and the wind moving through the trees. Evan rested his head against Ethan's shoulder. He could hear Ethan's heartbeat. Steady. Calm. Safe. When they reached a flat area higher up, Ethan gently put Evan down. Evan looked around. A cold breeze touched his face. The leaves whispered softly, like they were sharing secrets. This place was so quiet. So peaceful. So different from the noisy world they had left behind. Above them, the moon shone brightly. Its silver light fell through the tree branches like magic water. Everything looked like a dream. Evan's eyes were wide. "It's so beautiful here. But also really scary. I'm feeling afraid." He made an innocent face and looked at Ethan. "Why did you bring me here?" Ethan was standing a few steps ahead. The moonlight was falling on his face, making his eyes look soft and full of love. A deep smile rested on his lips. He walked back slowly toward Evan and held out his hand. "Come with me. Let's walk a little more." Evan looked at his face first, then at his hand. The small fear inside him slowly melted into trust. He placed his hand in Ethan's palm. Ethan held it tightly. Together, they walked further up the mountain. Their footsteps sounded soft against the quiet night. Ethan walked slightly ahead. Evan stayed close beside him. The moonlight fell all around them like a gentle blessing. He gently touched Evan's cheek. "Of course I did it for you, my love. You were upset with me. So I had to make things right, didn't I?" He opened his big coat wide and wrapped it around Evan, pulling him into a warm hug. Evan melted into his arms. He pressed himself closer to Ethan's chest. Even though the mountain was cold, Ethan's body was so warm. Being in his arms felt like the safest place in the whole world. Ethan held him tighter, keeping his coat around both of them. Evan closed his eyes. He put his head right over Ethan's heart. He listened to the steady beat inside. In that moment, all of Evan's anger disappeared. All his hurt went away. All the distance between them melted like snow under the sun. There was only this warmth, this love, this beautiful feeling of being held. But happiness doesn't always stay. Suddenly, Ethan's phone started ringing in his pocket. The sharp sound broke through the peaceful silence. But Ethan didn't let go of Evan. Not even for a second. He kept one arm around him and used his other hand to take out the phone. The screen showed a name. Victor calling. Ethan's face changed a little. He answered, but before he could finish even that simple word, something was said on the other end. Something that made Ethan freeze completely. His fingers went weak. The phone slipped from his hand. It fell to the ground with a cold, hollow sound. Evan quickly pulled back and looked at him. Worry filled his eyes. Ethan? What happened? Ethan didn't move. He just stood there. His face was like stone. Evan became scared. He grabbed Ethan's shoulders and shook him gently. Ethan, tell me what happened. Is everything okay? Ethan took a deep, shaky breath. He tried hard to control himself. We need to leave. Right now. I'll explain on the way. Before Evan could say anything, Ethan lifted him into his arms again. He started going down the mountain with fast, almost running steps. The cold wind flew past them as they moved. When they reached the bottom, Ethan put Evan down carefully and pointed to the car. Evan didn't ask any questions. He trusted Ethan completely. He got into the car silently. Ethan sat in the driver's seat and started the car immediately. The engine roared to life. The car shot forward into the dark night. For many minutes, there was only the sound of the engine. The silence was heavy. Finally, Evan couldn't wait anymore. Please tell me what happened. His voice was a mix of worry and frustration. Ethan looked at him for just 1 second, then looked back at the road. His voice came out quiet and heavy. Mom and Dad, they had an accident. Victor took them to the hospital. Evan felt like his heart stopped. What? Are they okay? Are they badly hurt? Ethan shook his head slowly. I don't know. Victor was too scared to explain properly on the phone. Even though he's a doctor himself, when something happens to family, even doctors become scared and helpless. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. Right now, Victor is all alone at the hospital. We need to reach there fast. Evan looked at Ethan's face carefully. For the first time ever, he saw something he had never seen before. Sweat on Ethan's forehead. Fear in his eyes. A raw, painful kind of fear. Evan had never seen Ethan look so scared. So lost. So human. Should I call Aaron? Evan asked. He can reach the hospital faster than us. It will take us at least an hour. Ethan nodded. Yes. Call him. The hospital is Star Hospital. Send him the location too. Evan quickly took out his phone. He called. After the call ended, Evan looked at Ethan again. Don't worry. They'll be okay. Ethan kept his eyes on the road. His voice was low. Until I see their condition with my own eyes, my heart won't find any peace. Evan nodded quietly. After that, neither of them spoke. The car was filled with heavy silence. Only the engine sound and their fast breathing filled the air. About an hour later, the car came to a fast stop in the hospital parking area. Both of them jumped out the moment the car stopped. Ethan immediately went to Evan. He took Evan's hand tightly in his own and walked quickly toward the hospital entrance. Even in this scary moment, he didn't let go. At the reception desk, Ethan spoke quickly. Richard Roy and Catherine Roy. Which room? The receptionist checked her computer and gave him the room number. Ethan held Evan's hand even tighter and walked through the hospital corridors. Each step felt heavier than the last. The fear in his chest was growing bigger. Finally, they stopped in front of a VVIP room. Ethan took a deep, shaky breath. Then slowly, he pushed the door open. The moment the door opened, the smell of medicine and on the bed lay Catherine, Ethan's mother. Her head was wrapped in white bandages. Her arm was in a hard cast. Her face looked pale and tired. Her eyes were closed. Seeing his mother like this, something inside Ethan cracked. In the corner of the room, Victor was sitting on a sofa. Aaron was next to him. Victor's head was resting on Aaron's shoulder. Both of them looked exhausted. Their faces were red from crying. The moment Victor saw Ethan at the door, he jumped up from the sofa. He ran to Ethan and threw his arms around him, holding him tight. Tears were falling from his eyes. Ethan said nothing. He just hugged his little brother back and gently rubbed his back to comfort him. After a few moments, Ethan asked quietly, "How's Mom? And where is Dad?" Victor stepped back from the hug. His eyes were red and puffy. He tried to speak, but the words got stuck in his throat. "Dad, he couldn't continue. The pain was too much." Aaron quickly came forward to help. "Brother, Auntie has a small injury on her head and her arm is fractured. But she's stable. The doctor said she'll wake up soon." He paused. He took a deep breath. When he spoke again, his words made the air feel very heavy. "Uncle has a serious head injury. He's in the ICU. Until he wakes up, the doctors can't say anything for sure." The room became completely silent. Only the beeping sound of the heart monitor could be heard. Ethan stood like a statue. For one moment, his legs felt weak, like they might give way. But he caught himself quickly and stood strong again. "Evan, stay here. I'm going to talk to the doctor." He walked out of the room with fast steps. Evan immediately went to Victor. He pulled him into a tight hug. "Don't worry, brother. Uncle will wake up soon." His voice was gentle, even though fear was eating at his own heart too. After a while, Evan gently let Victor go and helped him sit on the sofa. Then he turned to Aaron. "Aaron, it's getting very late. If you want to go home, you can. Ethan and I are both here now." Aaron shook his head immediately. "No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here." Evan nodded. "Okay, your choice." Meanwhile, Ethan walked quickly through the hospital corridors. He went to the doctor's office, but it was empty. The chair was there. Papers were on the desk. But the doctor was gone. He turned and kept searching. As he walked, he passed a room where the door was slightly open. He stopped. Inside, he saw Sean standing in front of a doctor, looking very worried. On the bed behind them lay Nathan. His eyes were closed. He wasn't moving. Ethan stood at the door for a moment. Then he took a deep breath and walked inside. "What happened? Is Nathan okay?" His voice was tired, but his concern was clear. The doctor looked at him carefully before speaking. "Mr. Roy, Nathan is stable now. But his wounds are very concerning. They are old and deep. They clearly show that someone hurt him very badly for a very long time. I want to report this to the police." But Mr. Sean is refusing. A cold look came into Ethan's eyes. That sharp, quiet look that made people stop talking. "Doctor, focus only on his treatment. Don't concern yourself with anything else." His voice was cold and deep. It carried an unspoken command. The doctor understood. He didn't dare say anything more. "Yes, sir." Ethan's expression softened slightly. "What about my father? How is he?" The doctor cleared his throat before answering. "Your father's condition is very serious, Mr. Roy. Until he regains consciousness, we can't say anything for certain. But don't worry. My entire team is taking care of him." He paused. "I also spoke with the police inspector. Your brother was too upset to handle it, so I talked to them myself. Your parents' car was hit from behind by a large vehicle on the highway. The driver was drunk. The police were already at the scene, so they caught him immediately. He's in custody now." A flash of anger crossed Ethan's eyes, but he controlled himself. "I'll visit the police station later." The doctor nodded. "One more thing, Mr. Roy. If you want, you can see your father from a distance. But I recommend waiting until morning to visit properly." "All right." The doctor left. Ethan turned to Sean. "Sean, I'm going back to Mom's room. Call me when Nathan wakes up." "Yes, I will." Ethan nodded slightly and walked out. When Ethan came back to his mother's room, his eyes found Evan immediately. Evan was standing in the corner. His eyes were red from tiredness. Ethan walked straight to him. "Are you sleepy?" Evan shook his head. No, I don't want to sleep. But his sleepy eyes were saying something completely different. Without another word, Ethan bent down and lifted Evan into his arms. Evan was surprised, but he didn't resist. He was too tired to fight. He just held onto Ethan's neck. Ethan carried him to the sofa in the corner. He laid him down very gently, like Evan was something precious that might break. Then he took off his own coat and covered Evan with it. He softly touched Evan's hair. Sleep for a while. You went to university first, then took this long journey with me. Your body is tired. Rest now. Evan said nothing. He just looked at Ethan with sleepy eyes for a moment. Ethan's presence alone was all the comfort he needed. Then slowly, his eyes closed. Ethan watched Evan's peaceful breathing for a few seconds. Then he stood up and looked at Aaron. Aaron, take Victor home. I'll stay here. Before Aaron could say anything, Victor spoke up. His voice was worried. Brother, I don't want to leave. Ethan looked at his brother carefully. Victor's face was pale. His eyes were red. He looked like he might fall down from exhaustion. Victor, look at your condition. Go home. Rest. I'm here. This time, Victor didn't argue. He just lowered his head and agreed. Ethan looked at Aaron. Stay at our house tonight. With him. Aaron replied immediately. Of course I will. Even if you hadn't asked, I would never leave him alone. The care in his voice was clear. Ethan nodded. Go now. Victor stopped one last time to look at his mother lying on the bed. Then, with heavy steps, he walked out. Aaron stayed close beside him. After they left, the room became quiet. Only the soft beeping of the machine filled the silence. Ethan walked slowly to his mother's bedside. He sat down in the chair next to her. He took her hand in his and held it gently. He just sat there, watching her face, holding her hand, saying nothing. His heart was heavy with love and worry. His eyes were tired but full of care. Outside the window, the night was dark and deep. Inside the room, a son kept watch over his mother, waiting for morning to come. And so, dear listeners, what started as a beautiful night of love has become a night of tears and fear. Catherine lies hurt in her bed. Richard fights for his life in the ICU. Nathan's wounds tell a story of great suffering. And Ethan, the man who always seems so strong, now sits alone with a heavy heart. But even in the darkest night, love does not leave. Evan sleeps peacefully under Ethan's coat. Aaron stays by Victor's side. And somewhere in that hospital, hope still lives. Will Richard wake up? Will the family find their way through this storm? Find out in the next episode, tomorrow at 6 p.m. New episodes every Monday to Friday at 6 p.m.